For more on that, let's bring in Tony Gosling, historian and investigative journalist, joining us from Bristol. Mr. Gosling, it's great to have you with us. Every new report that comes from Gaza, like the UN's latest figures on disabled children, paints a picture of mass suffering. How do these numbers reflect the systematic nature of the attacks, and how can there still be people who say that this is not collective punishment?
Well, liars might say it's not collective punishment. Quite clearly it is. These are all war crimes we're witnessing night after night. And the most staggering aspect of this is how inept and really pathetic the response from the United Nations has been to protect these people. Obviously, it's very difficult for an individual specific country to take on Israel, but particularly with them being nuclear armed, even though they try to pretend they're not, they lie about that too. And I think we have to understand that the big picture, it's almost like the tectonic plates of the world have been shifting because of this conflict, specifically because of the horrendous genocide which is going on our screens and on social media day after day after day. You do wonder, don't you, whether the Israeli kids are seeing this and asking their parents, why are these neighbours of ours being murdered by our own government? And of course, this is the sort of thought which never gets anywhere close to the head of the king of chaos himself, Netanyahu. But like I say, around the world, things are changing, and it's been fascinating to see in China, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization getting together. This organization that they were formed in 2002, just after the September the 11th attacks, and some say as a reaction to those attacks, seeing the horrific nature of the Israeli and US involvement in the false flag bombing of the United States and trying to blame that on Muslim nations and failing basically throughout most of the world. Now people understand very well that this was a false flag attack, and indeed it was an excuse for the Americans to try and go into any old country they wanted to. And of course, the other thing which the Shanghai Cooperation Organization people have been looking at as they've held their meeting is over in China, is the Americans stopping the visas for the Palestinian delegates to the UN. So it's in New York. So it's quite obvious, which is just about to come up, the General Assembly, the 80th. And so it's obvious that there needs to be a much more robust and better international order, something to replace the United Nations that can actually do the job properly and protect children like these 21,000 disabled kids, not even to mention the men, women and children who've been genocided and killed because of their ethnicity, because of their beliefs.
That's exactly right. Mr. Gosling, Israel has reportedly blocked 8 items, including wheelchairs, walkers and prosthetics, and even tents, citing dual-use concerns, saying that the metal in tents can be used as weapons and can be used in rockets by Hamas. What should we make of this justification?
Well, look, it's rubbish, it's nonsense, it's lies. All we've been getting is lies, and I think it's clear, certainly to me, as a journalist that's been working for what is it now? Gosh, nearly 40 years, that this is a tactic. The lying is a tactic. The idea is they're using as much as they can of the owned Western press, that is to say not journalists, but the managers and the owners of the press in the West, to just literally transmit these lies such as a journalist may be working for Hamas, and then the next few days that journalist is killed because those lies have been repeated by the BBC, ITV, etc. This is a tactic to try to use the press in order to bamboozle people in the West to accept a genocide. But some people are not accepting it, and it's really good to see. I'm sure you've noticed the Irish president, Michael Higgins, saying we need an armed intervention. He is saying, and actually other countries have been murmuring, what everyone is thinking is that somebody needs to go in with weapons to protect these poor people from not just the lies, but also obviously from the bullets and the guns and that sort of thing. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens at this up and coming General Assembly. Without the Palestinians, the whole world will say, well, the United Nations is now past its sell-by date. And Donald Trump, of course, has been making, the US president has been making a bit of a fuss about, he's been saying that he is admitted, finally, that he actually bombed Iran for the Israelis. The Israelis asked him to do it, and so he used his military might to bomb the Iranians. So it's quite clear that the United States,
yes,
the United Nations in New York, and President Donald Trump is not going to help solve this conflict. And thank God, other organisations around the world are coming forward in order to step into the breach and do the right thing. These kids do not deserve to die, and if they are allowed to die, I can tell you, people in the West should know it's going to be your children next.
That is exactly right. Tony Gosling, historian and investigative journalist, joined us from Bristol. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.